Hello. My name's Felix. If you guys aren't aware, I'm here from Ledger. Yeah, here to ask, or answer rather, any of the questions you might have about your Ledger devices, everything like that. So may as well get started as I see quite a few questions. I think the main things that I always mention as well, if you are asked for your recovery phrase, it's likely, nearly always, in I'd say all cases actually, before I go too far, going to be a scam, and please don't give out your recovery phrase and don't sign any transactions you don't trust. But yeah, with that, we'll get started. We'll see how many we can answer today. First up, we had Mandeep Sandhu. You mentioned in Dubai, how do you buy a Ledger Nano X? Or is there any official store in Dubai for Ledger? Now, there wouldn't be any physical stores that you'd be able to buy. Oh, I mentioned there's an echo, so I'll try to get that sorted. Sorry, MG. Okay. But if you are talking about, if you're hoping to buy a Ledger, I made sure to double check on our website. MG, give me a quick shout out if that's become better. So you can always double check on our website. That's ledger.com/reseller. Just go off the top of my head. And Dubai looks like you can get it from Duty Free, Phoenix Store, and Shift LLC. So check those out, Mandeep, if you're looking for a way to purchase a Ledger device in Dubai. So TG, hello. I see that you've got a big question there. So let's just get to answering that. And Patrick's, I can see your question as well. So just know I haven't skipped over you or anything like that. So you've mentioned TG. As I explained last time, I have multiple Ledger Nano X devices along with its own recovery phrase. So I'm assuming a recovery phrase for each device. So it's not, and you're using Ledger Live Desktop. When you try to send Bitcoin from one ledger to another, so one ledger derived address to another, send and receive addresses didn't match. That would be normal because under the assumption that you would have a different recovery phrase for each device. I couldn't reuse old addresses because none of Bitcoin's old send addresses matched. Not sure exactly what you mean here, but what I normally try to explain in these kinds of scenarios would actually be related to making sure that you have the right recovery phrase or the recovery phrase that you expect on the device, and then you can send and receive accordingly. So when you're saying, okay, you want to send from one device to another, what you would do, if you wanted to send it to the other address derived from the other recovery phrase, is that the address would be different. You'd, go to address, let's say you're sending to B, you get your Ledger device with the recovery phrase B, you go through the receive process and you get, let's say, address 123. You go to use Ledger A, make sure you're in the account that Ledger A derives, and then you send from there as well. You mentioned, I'm scared to try anything without knowing it. Please help me solve my problem. I hope that does answer the question. When you try to send from one ledger to another, so remember, your assets aren't on chain. That's the one thing that I always mention as well. If I can get the screen up, there is another, where are my coins? I don't know if it's going to be in the docs here. It might be in the articles instead, but essentially they're on chain and it's the recovery phrase that's on the device as well. So it might be a good way to think about it and might help you understand maybe what's going awry there. And you can't reuse the old address because none of Bitcoin's old send addresses matched. Yes, if you can go into more detail what you mean by that, TG, maybe we can try and help you further, but I'm not sure I specifically understand that portion of what you've meant there. But let's keep going. Patrick's, Sai, you mentioned you sent ETH over Arbitrum. How do you get them back? You checked one issue on Ledger, but it didn't help. It shows error, enable blind signing or contract data in Ethereum app, and you changed it, but it didn't work. So when you have sent Ethereum on any kind of network, first of all, we just want to make sure that it's supported within Ledger Live. I know for sure that Arbitrum is supported. So if you sent Ethereum over the Arbitrum network, you would first want to make sure you would add it in Ledger Live. So you just go make sure you have the Ethereum app open and then add the account in Ledger Live, and you should be able to see it. All right. But if you're not able to see it, we might need to delve into more detail to see what could be happening there. Like, is it one thing that I imagine could be happening if it's not to do with the account not being visible? Might be which derivation path the address is, or if it was sent to the correct address. So we would want to get the transaction ID and check on a block explorer. For Arbitrum, it'll be Arbiscan. Now, you mentioned this blind signing error. So once you've enabled blind signing on the device itself, then you would go about and do the thing that you need to do. So if you're bridging, which is what I might expect what it sounds like you want to do, if you're wanting to, let's say, bridge Ethereum from Arbitrum network back to mainnet, you might need to enable blind signing to use the Arbitrum bridge, for example. So if that's the case, once you've enabled blind signing, then you should be able to go back and use the bridge. If that's still not working, I think the first thing that I'd be thinking about is the version of the Ethereum app that you might be using. That would probably be the first instinct that I would have for something that might be stopping you there, Patricks. So in all of these cases as well, what I didn't mention for UTG as well, you can always get a hold of us, support.ledger.com. If you just go here, you'll get a screen like this. And then you just bottom right where my the circle is here, you'll have a purple contact us button, and you'll be able to get a hold of us as well if we need to go into more detail, get your transaction ID, and we can double check everything for you as well. But those are the main things that I'd be thinking about there, Patricks. Next up, we have FJJ. You've mentioned you were a scam of an NFT. You were a victim of an NFT airdrop scam. The scammer only stole one of the assets that you had. You had staked assets, staked coins in Ledger or a Ledger managed address, and other non-staked assets. You revoked the scammer's access. Are you still in danger? I would say off the top of my head, no. So there are a couple of ways that a scammer might try to gain access to the assets. One of those with the NFT itself would be approvals, as you've found out. So once you've revoked access, generally speaking, and there are definitely other cases, but generally speaking, that should be the most common way that a scammer is going to try and gain access to your assets. And if you've revoked them, that would generally be the biggest step that I would consider. If you're still feeling a little insecure about it, you definitely can send your assets to a temporary address, reset your Ledger device, get a new set of 24 words, your recovery phrase, and then send it all to a new address that's not related at all. But yes, that would be one of the main things. I can't be sure normally without looking at the NFT itself, and a lot of times the NFTs aren't even verified, so you can't see the source code of the contract. So you can't necessarily know everything there is to know about how the attacker was looking to compromise your assets. But in most cases, I would suspect it's okay. We can always try to double check and do the best investigation. Like, we'd look into the contract as we can if you want to get a hold of us. But that would be the main step, I would say. All right. F, you've mentioned, hi, why do I not see my swap history in Ledger Live? I might need more information from that in particular. Depends on like which particular swaps you might be doing. If you're using, let's say for example, decentralized swaps, normally they should be directly in your transaction history for an address. But if they're one of the other providers, Changerly for example, generally speaking, then the swaps are going to be stored locally. And if you've, let's say, gone to another device or reset your instance of Ledger Live, it might be something that might not have been kept. So a couple of things there to consider for that one. If not sure which one might be relevant to you. Again, might be something to get a hold of us for, but I think in most cases, if it is to do with specifically centralized services, swaps, that kind of thing, that could be the first thing. If it's decentralized, we might have to investigate in more detail about that, where you're swapping to and from, what assets you're swapping as well, and to and from as well, and what might be happening there. X9, you mentioned, you asked many times about how to unstake Tron from the Ledger Nano S Plus. So all the Ledger Nano devices should have the same unstake process and staking process for Tron. I'll just get that up now, actually. Unstake, I think it'll be under the same. So Tron scan. But you never post any tutorial video on YouTube, which is why I'm so angry. TRX has stopped giving rewards for old Tron staking. So I would have to do this. I wouldn't have this off the top of my head. So yeah, as you mentioned, if you want to unstake, this is what I would expect the process to be. You'd go through to Tron scan in particular, and then you would go about and try to unstake that from there. I'm sorry that there's no specific video. We could probably try to set that up to put together, but of course, as you might have already heard that before, I can't necessarily be like, this is the exact date that something like that would come out, but I'll make sure to note it down. Really sorry that that's the experience though. I totally get it. Is there some, if you're, still on the video now, is there some part of this specific process that you're getting stuck at? What is it that you might be having trouble with here that you're hoping the video... I would have thought this should be a pretty in-depth guide, but I mean, it might be, a lot of people learn in different ways, so if there's something specific that's stopping you, definitely let me know. Strangers Only Me or Starbuck Echo. Okay. I'll keep going, trying to answer these questions for you guys. TG, with receive address, my Ledger Live of Ledger A. Okay, so lists so many old send addresses, but none of the addresses match with the receive addresses. Not sure, again, that your send addresses, so where you're sending from, doesn't have to match your receive address at all. So that's not something that should necessarily happen unless you're trying to send to yourself. Which, there's no reason to do so because, it'll be at that address anyway. When I send Bitcoin from Ledger A to Ledger B, so again, I'm assuming from address derived from recovery phrase A to address derived from recovery phrase B, which desktop should I plug Ledger A into? Again, I think it's down to the understanding of, it's not about the desktop. The desktop doesn't hold any private key information. What would be happening is that you'd need to send, so your one instance of Ledger Live can have accounts from many different devices with many different recovery phrases as well. When you're sending to and from each specific address, just make sure you go through the receive address with one specific account. You know that that's the receive address for that specific account, and then you go use the account A, let's say, to send to the address that's derived from recovery phrase B. If you can give more info, maybe if maybe I'm on the right track for you there or anything like that as well. All right, next up we have Agostino, hello. Your first question here, you've mentioned you noticed that someone transferred BRD. BRD is not something I know off the top of my head to your ledger. You don't know this asset, so to your ledger managed address. You don't even know this asset. Could it be a scammer? Definitely could be a scammer. Make sure you do the research on that one. You can check contract addresses. You can check where it's come from. Maybe it's related to a project you've been interacting with. It's a possibility. So definitely make sure you understand exactly what you're doing if you're going to interact with any assets. That's kind of how I would deal with it. So let's say I received an asset that I didn't know was coming. I would first check the contract addresses. I would then check where it came from, everything like that. Make sure that what's happened is okay. I might check if there's a source code there as well, especially on EVM chains, and then make sure it's all above board. If it is all above board, maybe we can do something with it. Generally speaking, if someone transferred you something without you doing anything, 99% of the time it's going to be a scam. Sometimes it's a airdrop. I've had ones for Optimism, but that's definitely more of a known coin as opposed to something like BRD, which doesn't ring a bell for me in particular. Jason, why is there a sync error on Solana app today? Let me check if I have that in particular. Let's see, it's just syncing now in the background. It doesn't seem to be happening for me in particular. Normally the first thing there, I'll be like wanting to double check, everything's up to date. Ledger Live, Ledger Device firmware. Could be double checking how many accounts that you have. It's not normally a thing that I'd be double checking, but a couple of cases I've experienced recently, in case you have like 10, 20, it might take a while to load everything up. Other thing might be if you have a VPN, but being that you said today, I'm assuming that it's been working with your setup before. So just a couple of the things that I'd be thinking about there, Jason. BRD, you actually don't send BRD will drain out your wallet. Yeah, again, definitely something that we'd want to make sure of before you touch anything on chain. It's the same with the NFTs. So I would suspect that Jason is right there as well. But yeah, seeing as I do see that, let me know if any of that double checking might help for you, Jason. All right, so Can, definitely recognize your name. Hello again. Hope you are having a nice day too. We've got Mac Razor. How can I store and stake Floki Inu with Ledger Device? Just got to double check off the top of my head. So Floki Inu is okay, EVM, so BNB Smart, Binance Smart Chain, and on Ethereum mainnet. Okay, so definitely something you can manage. I would say at least with a Ledger Device, but not 100% sure if you can use it with Ledger Live. So in your case as well, you can double check on our help center. You can see here this was updated today. For what assets Ledger Live would support. I just Control F, Floki Inu, Okay, so the token specifically may not be supported, but we can use a third-party wallet to support that in particular. What that might entail, if I just go back up to the top, would be something like MetaMask. It could be Rabby, Tahoe, are all very common. Common things that you might use to connect your Ledger Device and manage those assets that might not be supported in Ledger Live. With staking, it depends on each individual protocol. So generally you might connect to a dApp to connect and stake. So that might be something you might need to do your specific research for. But with regards to Floki Inu, just in terms of like potentially sending and receiving, you might use something like MetaMask to do that, since it's not currently supported in Ledger Live. Hopefully, I don't know, MG, you haven't mentioned any echoes, so hopefully it's okay. It's okay, we can hear you with delays and only in mono. Yeah, I've definitely tried to set it only in mono at this stage, but hopefully it's not hurting too many of the audio files out there. All right, let's keep going. Quite a few questions. I better try to speed through these. Smoky Sunshine, what do I need to do? There we go. Oh, what do I need to do to recharge my device? I haven't used my Legend Nano S device in over 1 year. I can't get the device to turn on. If the device can't turn on, there wouldn't be anything that you need to charge the device or anything. You mentioned I've been using an original cable that was sent to me with the device to troubleshoot. I can access Ledger Live on my computer, see your assets. 271.1 is the version I'm currently using, and tried all the fix-it solutions. So it would sound more in that case, because the device isn't turning on, it could be a hardware issue with the Legend Nano S. Hopefully you would still have your recovery phrase, and if you're in a pinch, you can use it with the software wallet. If you're not, you can order a new device to then, restore an existing recovery phrase onto a Ledger device to be able to manage your assets within Ledger Live. Remember, Ledger Live doesn't have any private information like your recovery phrase on there. Ledger Live is just so you can see the addresses and everything like that. So as long as you have that recovery phrase, restore it onto any compatible wallet, and then you'll be right as rain from there. Sounds like it would be a hardware issue, so it wouldn't be something that we can fix with a software update or anything like that, generally speaking. So that's what it would sound like off the top of my head, the Smoky. Agostino, there's a little feedback in the sound and also a little delay between image and audio. Yeah, definitely working with Ubuntu at this stage, actually. So we'll have to take note of that and get that fixed, guys. So thanks again for the heads up. When can we delegate Ada to nodes through mobile Ledger app? Wouldn't have a time frame for that, unfortunately. Port Nocturnal. Definitely, we'll pop that on as feedback for sure. Something that want to make sure we have the best for you guys there. On my phone. Okay, cool. Thanks, NG. Just reading that latest one. So let's keep going before I get too lost in the source. Yeah, Port Nocturnal, I'll definitely note that down. I wouldn't have anything specific about when that would be possible or any time frame there. MG, question here. You made a big mistake, but fortunately there's not a lot. You sent ETH, HeroPlay, and Netverk, I'll pronounce it that, to the Netverk address instead of ETH. Netverk, not something I'm directly aware of. Now, I'm assuming that this token, or this chain rather, would be using, and I'm checking it now, would be using like an EVM style address. Let's see, yeah, we got a Polygon and Ethereum mainnet token. So what I'm doing now, just so you guys are keeping track, is like, okay, I can see that Netverk is a token, but by the sounds of what MG mentioned, it's also a chain or a network as well. Next thing would be, okay, is it an EVM chain? If it is, maybe we want to see if there's like an RPC that we can use with a third-party wallet. So something like MetaMask with a custom RPC. I don't see it in Chainlist, so I'll just actually pull that over. Chainlist is, don't know why that didn't work. Boom, boom, boom. Chainlist is a way that you can add networks into a third-party wallet, but I don't see that there. So just bringing you along with the troubleshooting process. So if that's the case, we might need to consider, okay, the address that you sent it to MG, where are you? Boom, 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 boom. Network address instead of ETH. I wouldn't give up to say it's lost, but it is definitely an interesting question here. Play Netverk. I would have to do my more research on that one, if I'm honest. Netverk, and I don't want to like waste too many people's time on online, like on the stream rather, I would suspect, okay, so if it does have a custom RPC, I would just add the custom RPC, and we probably can use the Ethereum app with, a third-party wallet to manage that. But if it doesn't have one, it might be necessary to have to import the address. But again, not something we normally recommend, right? So definitely really a bit of a tricky situation. Definitely get a hold of us. Send through a ticket, MG, if you want. Just mention Felix, have them assign it over, and see if I can try and work through that. If we can get all the addresses, I can double check the derivation path for what network should be, and see how we go from there. Maybe no, I sent direct to the Etherscan address on the Etherscan address. Okay, so yeah, it'll be the derivation path that was used was probably 4460.00, but maybe network uses like 44 something else or something like that. So that might be my expectation, but not being super familiar with the chain, I'd want to dig in further. So hopefully I didn't ramble too much there, man. But it would just depend on that derivation path, I would suspect there. Okay, next up, Abel, why can I not buy Gala on Ledger from the United States? I also want to see how do I send it to my Ledger. The providers that provide the buy options within Ledger Live have specific things that they need to follow for regulations, so it might not be available in your specific area for that one. You might need to find a third-party source for that one. So whether that's an exchange, you can always check the Discover section as well. You could potentially buy another asset and then swap in a decentralized manner as well if you need. So a couple of options for you there. You mentioned you also bought Lun C, so Luna Classic. How would you send it to your ledger? Let me get that. I just had someone mention that today. Luna Classic, you'd be using a third-party application to manage that asset. So you wouldn't be using it with Ledger Live, but you would be able to use it with your Ledger device. Dave McFly, what is the Guardian set on Ledger device? Guardian set? Not something I'm aware of. Guardian set? Maybe you're talking about the first thing that comes up for me would what? Loopring. There's something from Argent as well. Where are you seeing it? Which application might you be seeing it, Dave? Maybe that might give me more insight for that one. See if I can try and find more info for you, Dave. Gee, I just saw that, so I'll keep answering questions, but I did see that, just so you are aware. Let's keep answering these questions. Cursive Slang, can I receive Bitcoin ordinals to your Bitcoin Ledger address? It is possible, but be very, very careful because you wouldn't be able to see them within Ledger Live. And if you send them, let's say, to the same address that you have your other Bitcoin in, the sats that are inscribed might be lost. So we normally suggest maybe having them on a very specific account that you dedicate to ordinals, and then you potentially would also want to make sure you use another wallet. You can do so within, no, definitely not. I was going to say you might be able to do so in Ledger Live, but then you don't know what you're sending, which sat you're sending, and everything like that. But it looks like it's just flat out not something you would want to do. Sparrow, definitely something that I've used before as well. But you definitely can receive it. It's just a matter of making sure you don't accidentally send these prized ordinals to random addresses because you thought you were sending your Bitcoin as you might normally be. So making sure not to do that is very key. Double check this Help Center article as well. Hello, I want to swap BNB to BTC on your ledger. After I accept the exchange, there is an endless loading screen. Confirm your exchange, and nothing happens. That might be something that to get a hold of us for in particular. After accept the exchange and confirm your exchange. I'm assuming you've confirmed everything on the device itself as well. So everything's been clicked through on the device. If that's the case, yeah, we definitely want to have a chat to you about that. I tried many different times at different time of day and night. I've updated Ledger Live in more than one ledger, and on each device is the same problem. Yeah, so if it's definitely not version related, it's not device related. My first instinct is, yeah, what's showing on the device itself. Confirm your exchange normally, if I remember correctly, would be confirm it on your device essentially. So that would be the first thing that I think of via 17. Johnny English, how do I sell XRP on your Ledger Nano device? You might have, if it's not supported in the sell section within Ledger Live, you might have to use a third-party service like an exchange. Pretty simple one for that one. It just depends on which providers are able to, sell that to you and give you that money for your XRP. Isaac, can you help me send? I sent my crypto to an unknown address. I have the confirmation that the transaction was completed, but how can I recover back? I did else I open a case that's been supervised. You can't revert any transactions. If it's to an address that you don't know or like an address that you don't control, there's nothing you can do. If it's an exchange, for example, you might be able to ask the exchange to try and help you with that. But it's if it's just a random address you don't know the owner of, pretty much nothing you can do. Sorry, Isaac, to be the bearer of bad news. Yep, MG, I think it's lost. Before you asked me the question, I was sending these crypto to an address outside Ledger, and it's readable on Etherscan that they might that they are there, but on network, the Etherscan address not on my other wallet. Sorry, MG, I was just reading your questions. But on network, yeah, I think I want to delve deeper, because then once I get the basically my troubleshooting process would be, MG. We get the transaction IDs, I check everything on chain, so I understand, okay, let's say you've sent network on network, but I think I saw your message, it's on ETH. So if you send it on ETH, then it's just about managing with a third-party wallet if network's not supported. If it's a random address though, then like we mentioned, it might not be something that can be reverted, but I always like to double check, so let me know. Send a case through, we'll have a check of that one. Sush cool. When will Ledger launch and start support for Casper? Again, no time frame, unfortunately. Bolo, or Botic, Botio. Where's Dan? Dan is still working at Ledger, but not doing this stream, unfortunately. So hopefully I will be an okay stand-in for you, mate. Definitely ask me if you have any questions. FJ, another question. If I undelegate/unstake a coin on Ledger, would this action appear in the history immediately or after the coin has been unstaked, undelegated? Ask because I lost some coin to an MTC scam. Depends on the coin, depends on the protocol. So for example, if I think about staking with Lido on Ethereum, when you withdraw, you make a transaction to get the NFT, and you wait a couple of days and you claim the NFT, which you would do in Ledger Live because you don't want to interact with those scam tokens, NFTs, remember. Let's say you're doing it with Solana. I think you would go unstake, you wait again, and then you would claim them, if I remember right off the top of my head, as well. And each asset might have a different one. So like for Polkadot, for example, you would want to chill the nominations first, and then you can unstake, and then you should be able to get that back to you after that as well. So it can depend on which asset you're doing in particular, but all of the steps should be for staking and unstaking should be within the help center depending on the asset. Phantom Stalker. Question: can a malicious smart contract obtain your BIP32 passphrase? Not that I know of, no. If not, how does the Ledger prevent that from happening? your BIP32 passphrase. Okay, because I wanted to first think about your BIP30, your passphrase specifically is something that we use, Phantom, very specifically as one of those advanced tools that you would use to add an additional security, essentially, on top of the recovery phrase. So if you're talking about how can you not get the recovery phrase from a malicious smart contract, what kind of happens is that you've got the derivation path, and when you see the derivation path, I'm not sure if you would have seen before, you've got like M, which is the master key, 44, which might be the purpose, 60 would be the coin. I'm using Ethereum as an example, and you might see the dashes as well. What that generally refers to is that it's a hardened derivation path. So you can go one way. I can derive all kinds of addresses more in depth, so going to the right, but I cannot derive up the tree. And so that's kind of probably the simplest way that I would think about it, is that when an initial smart contract is doing something, be like, hey, normally it's an approval. They're not even going to really gain the private key for your address even. They're just going to like, okay, I get an approval. I've had you sign a permit to for a certain token, and then therefore the smart contract can take the tokens, right? It doesn't really have anything to do with actually trying to get the private key and or that master key and the recovery phrase itself. So it's not specific about Ledger, but it's more specific to just how the cryptography would work there. I'm gonna mess this up. Kalmeshwar Hendricks. I've been having issues moving crypto from Tahoe. I accidentally sent ETH to an ETH Classic wallet, so I'm assuming ETH Classic derivation path address. And Ledger helped me separate it in Tahoe. I've tried multiple times to move it from Tahoe to Binance. I approve it on the Ledger and pay the highest gas fee, but it will not transfer. Okay. Kalmeshwar, I might need more information. I have a question. How can I transfer ETH/USDC and Tahoe connected to my Ledger? I approve the transfer in Ledger, but it never goes through to Binance. Definitely, like, first thing I'll be thinking of is like, okay, do we have a transaction ID? Has that transaction been broadcasted? If it has been broadcast, then, where's it been broadcast to? It might serve up questions of, does Binance support the specific token at this address, or is it only ETH, or whatever it might be? Additionally, what else did you ask? You pay the highest fee, but it will not transfer. So I would suspect, because of the way you've mentioned it here, that the transaction isn't broadcast at all. Would you get any error messages? Would you get anything like that? So that's the other thing as well. I know you said yes just recently. I'm not sure what's that's yes in relation to. So if you have a transaction ID, it'd be first about checking, okay, it's been confirmed. Then the next step is, where's it gone? Who's the address? Is it the Binance address? Does Binance support it? Tokens at this address, or only ETH, or only BNB, or whatever it might be. That's that kind of line of questioning that I would think about that way. No error messages. Okay. So if it is confirmed, then it's if it is confirmed and it's at an address, it's been sent already from the address, then it's about where it's gone in Binance. If it hasn't been confirmed and there's no transaction ID, but there's no error messages, first thing that I'd be thinking of would be, there normally has to be, so it'd be like, is it like not confirming on chain, on the device? How are you connecting to Tahoe? Are you using WebHID or U2F to connect to Tahoe as well? Cable, I'm assuming. So a bunch of questions around there that I would be troubleshooting for in terms of Tahoe. Again, a bit harder, but those are the kinds of things that I would think of. It's a bit hard to troubleshoot while we're a bit async like this. I'll keep going, but definitely let me know if you can provide more information there. IMA, when will you guys finish Ergo integration? There are people getting assets stuck because it's on dev mode forever. Yeah, definitely wish. I hope I can get you. Wished I can get you a time frame, but nothing that I can provide. But again, we'll note it down for feedback. RJ Steele, you got a question. What is the best way to sync your Ledger portfolio to CoinMarketCap without manually inputting every transaction? Currently, the value of my CMC portfolio and Ledger portfolio don't sync up perfectly, and it drives me crazy. I'm not sure for CMC at all. Just the way it is. Personally, I use DBank because I use mostly EVM style chains, but that might not be as relevant for you, RJ. Okay. And RJ, where else is he streaming and reading questions from? Maybe I was a little bit delayed with it for you there, RJ. Okay, let's keep going and answering these questions. Sorry guys, before I get totally off track. Let's see, RJ, are there any other recommendations for portfolio trackers? Not off the top of my head currently. The time that drives me crazy. Not other ones, because if you want to include like BTC and stuff like that, you kind of have to include the extended public key, which can be a huge privacy factor for some people as well. So I personally don't have any that wouldn't require you entering the transactions, because yeah, the transactions are kind of what you need there. And if you put in your extended public key for BTC, for example, it's going to be a bit of a lot of people I think would find issue with that. Normally, the only time I see people do that is for like tax and stuff like that as well. All right, I might go backwards here. DBank, yes, that's what I personally use, but may not be best for everyone. I'm going to work backwards a bit here because I've gotten a bit lost. I'll just steal. So ROM, yes, transaction completed and tokens are on BSC chain. Do you need BSC scan? Okay, so if they're on Binance Smart Chain ROM, then is there an issue with BSC chain? I have transferred tokens to your Ledger managed address, but you have not received them. Either you just need to add your Binance Smart Chain address in Ledger Live, so you just add the account, make sure you add Binance Smart Chain, and that should normally be good to go. Especially because you see the transaction completed and the token on Binance Smart Chain. The other thing would be if the tokens are not supported, then you might need to use a third-party wallet. But generally speaking, if it is supported, just need to add the account. FJJ, you forgot to answer a part of my question. If I unstaked a coin on Ledger app, would this action appear in history immediately? Generally speaking, if a transaction is confirmed, it should appear pretty soon. I'm not going to say immediately because that's very specific to me, but yeah, it should appear pretty soon after unstaking has occurred. Again, it just depends on when the transaction has been added to the chain. I approved it on my Ledger, but it never moves from Tahoe. If you approved it, so when you mean so Kalmesha, when you mean you approved it, is it like the send? Are you sending it or are you approving it? Because when I think of approve, I think of like approving it for a smart contract to swap. Again, maybe get a hold of us for that one, because normally once you approve it, it needs to broadcast and then send from there. So there might be something happening there, either in the Tahoe stack or whatever might be happening there. I think I've gone up to track here. So dash any updates on ETH legacy accounts visibility? Not within Ledger Live. You would be going through and using a third-party wallet at this stage, unfortunately. Stephen, I see your question. I'm just gonna scroll back. I didn't see it initially, so it might be let's search up for you. It might be that you might need to that's the only message I see, Stephen Webster. You might need to go back and reword it because I definitely don't see it in the chat history at all. Is there a walkthrough from Ledger for the Evers airdrop? EVRS airdrop, not something I'm aware of. It's kind of hard to keep track of all of them. Evernode, yes. Let me see if I can get that for you. There is something here. Hold on. Just by the way, just because I got a message before we finish up, I had this up on screen. If you guys didn't know, if you're only just listening, we do have 20% off some of the Ruby Red Ledger Nano devices for being a little festive while I look for these Evernode steps in particular. Okay, so to qualify for the Evernode airdrop, you must normally register your XRP LR address. Remember, that's before December 11th. Only issues that you would need to log in using XUMM, which isn't directly compatible with the Ledger device. But there is a bit of a technical way that you could work around this without importing your recovery phrase. So you install XUMM and create an XRP hot wallet. Then you might connect your Ledger to XRP Toolkit, and then you retrieve the public wallet address for the XUMM XRP account that you just set up, so that hot wallet account. You also authorize that address to be the signer for your normal account, and that's the set regular key transaction. And then you can import your Ledger Live XRP account into XUMM as read only. Then you'll have your XRP account added successfully in XUMM. This is a bit of text that we've added internally. So I know I would have gone through this a bit quickly, so you can always get a hold of us and we'll have that ready to go for you. And we'll send that out to you if you get a bit confused there, guys. But there is potentially a way. Maybe just get a hold of us, and I think I'll hassle one of my colleagues to see if we can get a video up for that one as well. Okay, yeah, MG, thanks for that. I think we definitely don't have the best audio setup in my house. Thanks, MG. Rom, yes, I have. Ledger website stating that investigating a problem with getting the latest blockchain data. Is that the reason why tokens have not been received? Could definitely be. Depends again if the tokens are supported. When I'm not actually always checking the status of things. BNB Explorer, yeah, that could definitely be an issue that would be affecting you. Yeah, thanks Ron for the head up. I'm not always able to keep track of everything as well. Heading up to the last 20 minutes. It's been a really quick one today, guys, for me at least. So I might put out a last call for any of those questions that you might have as well. See if we can help you out with anything you might need. Sydney, you've mentioned, who do I reach out to at Ledger to help me if I've been hacked? We can definitely try to give you some information if you'd like. Normally, there's not much we can do. We normally refer you to liaise with law enforcement. Generally speaking, that's because we don't have the private keys for other people's accounts if they've been sent to an address that you don't control, and we don't control the addresses as well. But definitely, let us. Give us reach out to us, support.ledger.com, and then right behind me would be a contact us button, and you can get a hold of us and we can try to at least see how it might have happened and see if we can help you as well. FJJ, does staking and undelegating count as a transaction so they appear in Ledger Live's app history? It would depend, again, on the protocol. Generally speaking, 99% of the time, yes, they count as a transaction. I really wish I could be more specific, but yeah, Generally speaking, yes. It's just I know, let's say sometimes they might not. In like very, like, let's say outside of Ledger Live Proto, outside of Ledger Live staking might not be supported. It might just look like a contract interaction or something like that. So I just wanted to make sure we cover all the bases there. Thank you, Rom. Definitely helpful letting me know that as well. Stephen, recently you updated your firmware Ledger device and noticed that your Nami wallet in Cardano presented a staking balance to Berry Pool of 0. Okay. I don't know that. I don't know how much I could help. Wagami Corp. I'll definitely get to that. Sorry, man. I definitely see that there. I don't know that I had 400 in staking rewards. I'll get back to your question. Seems like you're still typing there. Well, we're all going to make it, Corp. I have a ledger that constantly keeps resetting back to default settings and I lose everything on it. What's going on? First thing I would be thinking of would be, if you mean default settings, do you mean that it's back to no recovery phrase set up on the device, or would you mean that it is set up with just like without the recovery phrase, with the recovery phrase but without applications? So let's say it's reset without the recovery phrase. Normally that's, in my experience, because three incorrect pins or a very significant update. More of the recent updates, if you update your Ledger device, you would potentially have the applications uninstalled as well, which I do understand is annoying, but could definitely be part of the issue there. If it is just back to default settings in terms of with applications as well, that I would never have come across before. I definitely want to chat to you more about that, about device versions, what might be happening when that happens. Because yeah, if it's constantly happening, I would want to go back and be like, okay, is there some kind of individual thing, certain event that's potentially triggering that? I have to input the seed. Okay. So yeah, first instinct would be, are you inputting the recovery phrase accidentally? I mean, not the recovery phrase, the pin incorrectly. Pin is fine. Definitely can have a look for you with that one, but that one I've never come across before, that it resets fully, like all the time. I'd want to look for like some kind of inciting incident there for sure. Yeah, it's happened over 10 times. Yeah, definitely something. Yeah, we can have a look into. Get a hold of us, support.ledger.com. You can even ask for me, and then since I have a little bit of background, I normally just want you to like maybe send through a rundown of how everything, what might have happened before, if you think there is something that you're doing that would have been triggering it, that kind of thing. Stephen, you had 400 in staking rewards still present in the pool. Can't withdraw from Nami wallet, is presenting 0 balance since update. Yeah, I don't have a specific answer. Can't withdraw from there because Nami, especially because it's a third-party wallet as well, Stephen. You have 400 in staking rewards still present on pool. Recently updated the device and noticed that my Nami wallet. Again, would love to see a screenshot there, because balance of pool, a balance of 0. Are there any like missing transactions there? Just trying to think through how I would troubleshoot with you, and go from there. So really, really interesting questions here today, guys. Danny, I definitely can help. Just pop the questions in the chat. All details in there with screenshots. I don't have any screenshots from you unless you have already provided your case number, which I don't have, Stephen. Yeah, we're all gonna make it. Please just definitely contact us. I think that would be the best way. I don't think it'd be hardware related since you bought a new device, but just to get a better idea of what's happening there. Okay, Jose, definitely remember you. Is there a way I could sell or swap your ADA for USDT Tether on Ledger Live without using an exchange? There are no cross-chain decentralized services in that way. You might want to use the swap feature, something like Changerly, which is still technically an exchange, even though it's not one of the big exchanges that's outside of Ledger Live. That could be a way if it's supported for those particular assets. Tevfik, hello. I don't see a question there, but definitely type that out if you can, as well as Danny if you can as well. Danny, you sent 0003 BTTC, so I'm assuming it's BTC or BTC, as a test to my Bitvavo with advanced speed to lower the price. Okay, otherwise $13 dollars gets cost 13, but is not received yet. That would make sense because sending with a lower amount of fee would increase the amount of time it would take for the transaction to be included on chain. It's part of the business with Bitcoin, unfortunately. You can either, normally if you have RBNF enabled, which should be in Ledger Live, you should be able to replace by fee, or I like Lightning Network. That is depending on the exchange if it supports it, but yeah, could be an option. But yeah, if it's not received yet, replaced by fee might be the way, just to get that sorted first of all, and then making sure you do send that with the appropriate amount of fee. TG, unfortunately, I don't speak, I don't want to be offensive, but I don't speak that language. I am only, unfortunately, English speaking. Tefik, can I buy the Bitcoin directly via Ledger, or do I have to buy from an exchange and transfer it? There should be options depending on your location for Bitcoin in particular. Stephen, I'll definitely jot that down as well. But what about this sending? The sending, yeah, you're gonna definitely have to replace by fee. You can't. There's to be able to get that, like to be able to, you've got that UTXO that's been broadcast, that transaction that's been broadcast, kind of tying up that UTXO, kind of to be able to get your bearings again and get that account going. Yeah, you're gonna replace by fee and then send with the appropriate amount as well. Just about wrapping up now. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone there. I really hope you guys got all your questions answered. Mr. Pro, when will Ledger support Audi token? Again, no time frame, but I'll jot it down for next time as well. But yeah, I'll just about wrap it up if there aren't any more questions that come in. Again, you can always get a hold of us at support.ledger.com. On the bottom right hand side, there'll be a contact us button. You can get a hold of us there as well, and we can always try to answer anything you might have for us. Again, and if you are really having trouble as well, you can always just mention my name, Felix, and then they'll be able to send the tickets over my way as well, and we'll try to have a chat with you, especially if we've been ongoing with that one. Stephen, I'll pick up that case for you as well. Thanks again, guys, for listening. I know it was a bit hectic today. Quite a few questions in the chat. Not all of them I could really solve right on stream, but hopefully we'll get to you guys and be able to have a chat with you. Again, please don't give out your 24 words, and don't sign any transactions that you don't trust. Double deuce, I don't have a time frame. I really wish I had a better answer for you for that one, but we'll keep an ear out for that one. But again, thanks guys. Have a great rest of the week, and the next AMA should be There should be one tomorrow, but there is one. There is a AMA schedule on the Help Center as well, actually. So you should be able to double check that. I'm not Friday, so Monday will be the next one. Heads up there. Thanks again, guys. Bo knows, get a hold of us, and we can have a chat with you about that one. Thanks again. Have a good rest of the week. Hope to chat to you soon.